To get an idea of what the headlines are across Nigeria. And to make sense of all of these, I have two lawyers with me, regulars who help us make sense of this. I have Jide Logo here in the studio, as well as Tunji Abdulhamid. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you both.
Good morning.
Great.
It's nice to
Great.
see you.
All right, let's begin with the Nigerian pilot. Nigerian pilot says leaking parliament. Roofs of National Assembly complex built 23 years ago leaking. Those pictures and videos went viral yesterday, and it has been drawing a lot of attention and debate around it. Okay, from there let's go to Daily Times. Despite 37 billion naira renovation budget, National Assembly roof leaks. Despite 37 billion naira renovation budget, the National Assembly roof leaks. Okay, that's on the Daily Times. Business Day. For Nigeria, simply exiting recession is not enough. For Nigeria, simply exiting recession is not enough. Okay, let's go further to Leadership. Leadership newspaper. At launch of Last Word podcast studio, media stakeholders emphasize need for press freedom and responsibility. Media stakeholders emphasize need for press freedom and responsibility. Regulation shouldn't be punitive. Dokmasi is saying this. There's need for self-regulation. Dabir Rawa is saying that. We shouldn't give terrorists oxygen. All right. Musawa is saying that. Media not federal government's political enemy. The NGE is saying this. Okay. Nigeria Guild of Editors. All right. From there, let's go to national economy. 340 billion naira social safety nets program, 82 million poor Nigerians uncaptured in federal government's register. 82 million poor Nigerians uncaptured in federal government's register. That's the national economy. From there, let's go to Blueprint. After 9 years of trial, Otedola's $3 million bait lands Farouk Lawan in jail. After 9 years of trial, Otedola's $3 million bait lands Farouk Lawan in jail. That's a Blueprint newspaper. Okay, we might take a look at that. From there, let's go to First News. First News is what we're looking at now. $3 million bribe. How ex-reps member Farouk Lawan's journey to prison began. Court jails him 7 years for receiving $500,000 from billionaire businessman Otedola. All right, that's First News. Okay, from there, let's go to Daily Trust. Daily Trust says a fuel subsidy bribe. 9 years after, court sends Farouk Lawan to Kuje prison. Okay, that's Daily Trust. And then the Nation newspaper is next. The Nation says it's focusing on Twitter. ECOWAS court stops government from sanctioning users. Twitter became a security risk to Nigeria. That's some opinions there. House panel grills Lai Mohammed and Malami Fashola Keyamo Pantami Onyema to lead talks with microblogging giant. Okay, that's the Nation newspaper. From there, let's go to Daily Sun. Daily Sun says federal government reps fight over Twitter ban as ECOWAS court stops government. Our action in conformity with Terrorism Act, other laws, as the federal government is saying this. No, it's a symptom of emerging totalitarianism. The lawmaker is saying this. Lai Mohammed leads government team to engage with Twitter. That's Daily Sun. The Vanguard is next. All right, it's still on Twitter ban. Federal government defiant as ECOWAS court stops prosecution of users. Interference with Twitter violates human rights. ECOWAS court is saying this. Multinationals can't dictate to us. Lai Mohammed is saying this. Announces government team to meet Twitter. Alleges Twitter helped crowdfund NSAS protests. Says other OTTs face suspension if, that's a condition there, and cautions against using VPN, and reps probe circumstances of suspension. Ban will birth harvest of misinformation. Varsity saying this. University Dawn is saying that the federal government Twitter proposed dialogue medicine after death. Tech experts are saying this. So invariably, this should have happened before now. Okay, we'll certainly be talking about that. All right, Nigerian Tribune is next. Lai Mohammed Pantami, Fashola to engage with Twitter over ban. Twitter promoting instability, act of terrorism, federal government alleges. And ECOWAS court restrains federal government from prosecuting Nigerians for using Twitter. Okay, these are all issues we'll be looking at. News Direct is next, and it says Buhari writes Senate for 895.8 billion naira supplementary budget approval. Approves team to engage Twitter over suspension as ECOWAS court stops federal government from imposing sanctions. Okay, this is, and from there let's go to the Punch newspaper. Federal government disobeys own law, flouts workers' pensions remittance. Federal government disobeys own law, flouts workers' pension remittance. 121,000 retirees have less than 500,000 naira in their RSA balance, says PENCOM. Our payment shortfall, inflation, double stroke for workers. Ex-TUC President Peter Esele saying that. All right, from there let's go to this day, which is the last one we're looking at now. This day says, Jonathan, inability to manage Nigeria's diversity cause of growing tensions. That's what the president, former President Goodluck Jonathan is saying. Calls for equity in distribution of key political posts, seeks incorporation of security chiefs' positions on the FCC document. Okay, that's this day newspaper. All right, gentlemen, I'd like us to just comment briefly on some of the first stories that we read on the Nigerian Pilot and Daily Times that talks about the leaking roof of the National Assembly. Although some see it is not necessarily a big issue per se, but others are saying, well, with the monies available to the National Assembly, we shouldn't be having a leaking roof. The pictures and videos went viral yesterday. Tunji, let me start with you on this. What's your take on what you saw?
Like you said, it should not be a big issue, but you see, we should, and again, we should see it as a big issue, looking at the kind of money being spent on the structure there. I'm also aware that a sum of 37 billion naira was proposed. I'm not sure whether that has been approved or not, but I know, because I know it was vehemently opposed by Nigerians, that at that time, 37 billion to renovate a property or National Assembly is insensitive. So probably I may want to see that it may be a deliberate attempt to draw the attention of Nigerians to the fact that, look, we have been asking you to give us money to repair our National Assembly. Now it's leaking. It's embarrassed. When we embarrass the country, or we see an embarrassment, maybe probably people will yield to our request. I'm just in a lighter mode. So it
could be a plot to say, Nigerians, Shebi, all of you have seen it now. We were telling you, give us money so we can renovate.
It could be another bait.
All of you refuse. So now see what's going on. Jide, what do you make of this?
I think the sensation is born out of the exalted status of the National Assembly.
Okay.
I believe that other infrastructures are leaking somewhere too. And as we know, we have a proposed 37 billion naira to renovate the National Assembly. And of course, the lesson we should learn here is that when we have structures like this, it's good to put a very good maintenance a culture in place. I mean, you know the rain is coming, have a team of engineers that can inspect the facility, facility experts that can advise you what is the state of the roof and things like that. But it's good that this is coming to the open. So, like Barrister brilliantly mentioned, maybe now it becomes, a prompting reason for the National Assembly to say, okay, give us the 37 billion, because I don't think that money has been released to them. But given what is available to the National Assembly, if there has been proper project management and maintenance culture, we shouldn't have the roofs leaking.
And we believe that before a roof leaks that bad, it would have been giving you signs, and maybe from little droppings and all of that, and then if it's not attended to, and then it becomes
some of these signs are ignored when they start, just like the bad portions of the roads we have in the country.
Exactly.
They start with small potholes, neglected, and before you know it, you have a big issue.
Okay.
That's where the money come from.
Yeah, exactly.
The big issue is where you get money.
The big issue. So wait for the big issue, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, now, if we look at the stories on the front page of the Vanguard and as well as Tribune and several others, it talks about the issue of the Twitter ban. Now, the ECOWAS court came up with a ruling which is trying to advise government not to prosecute those who are using Twitter and those who have downloaded VPNs to bypass, the ban and have access to Twitter and all of that. Now, Tunji, I wonder what you make of this, because the government has said that after the ban, those who are still using Twitter will be prosecuted. What difference will this ECOWAS court ruling make?
Yeah, it will only maybe guide the government whenever they want to arraign anybody for violating the Twitter use, how to go about it so that it won't conflict. There are so many laws. There's a way you can choose your law treat your law to favor what you are looking for. So in other words, you need not say you are charging them for flouting a Twitter usage or whatever. You can use another look at another comb everywhere, because we normally comb now these days, just like we are combing for the grazing routes. So they can comb everywhere, because I don't see any law which gives the federal government the power to prosecute anybody for using Twitter. But now they say they want to prosecute. They want to comb everywhere, whether right or wrong. They charge you to court and send you. So in as much as it's a good one, at least we are able to. It's a bit of relief for certain people, because some people are still using Twitter. But I also know that the government will not even prosecute anybody. It's just a threat, a mere threat that will not yield any results. So, but now that people will even be sure now that, look, having this, but I will also not be surprised, because I am aware and I've been around for a while that this government don't always obey court orders. There are so many some ECOWAS court has given order before now, which was not obeyed by them. The Nigerian courts have given order before now, which was not. So I want to, because they will come up with the issue of national security is more paramount than the individual's right or whatever. So I will not, but it's a good one, and that will guide the president, the government in thinking whether or not to prosecute or anybody.
All right. Now, Jide, when it comes to Nigeria is a sovereign country, and when ECOWAS comes up with a ruling like this, how do we relate them? How binding are the judgment or rulings by ECOWAS court in a case in Nigeria or in any individual country in ECOWAS for that matter?
We have subscribed to the jurisdiction of the ECOWAS court, so we are bound. So whether we obey or not is a different issue entirely. And my concern really has to do more with some of the allegations coming out that Twitter is promoting instability, act of terrorism, and that takes us away from focusing on the fundamental issues. Is Twitter the sponsors of bandits? Is Twitter the cause of the poverty in the land? Is Twitter the cause of the disunity we have in the country? Is Twitter the cause of our being the capital of poverty in the world? So I want us to focus on what we can. You see, Twitter is like a vehicle that can help you promote. And so is Switzerland battling Twitter? So Twitter will promote the beauty, the prosperity of Switzerland. So I want my government to focus, instead of setting up teams like Lai, Mohammed Malami, Patami, Fashola, who should be more engaged with solving the problems in our land, relating with Twitter and everything. And by the way, within 2 days, I think we lost about 4.4 billion naira from the ban of Twitter. So we need to be emotionally intelligent in how we handle these governance issues. And by now, I expect that the science sector of our national life should start thinking of how can we also develop our own platform. Twitter is based in California, in the USA, generating billions of naira, even without having physical office in Nigeria. So how can we now begin to provide the alternative that we draw in that level of revenue? Because it appears that each time we go into this battle, we lose financially. when we decided to shut the land borders, we lost so much. And we confessed to it even when we decided to open. So how can we deal with insecurity, which will create the enabling environment for foreign direct investments that can even pull Twitter to Nigeria? Then you now indigenize that technology by training your own citizens and things like that. You know, so
but they took their office to Ghana instead.
I mean, is that not justified now? So imagine that Twitter has an office in Nigeria. By now, you can imagine what they'll be going through. And that's what we say. You see, investors will profile your country. They are investing. You see, they focus on bottom line apart from all the other elements of business. They look at the environment, you know, so you are the one to position yourself. We have said it. Singapore, you know, came out of Malaysia in 1965. Today, wealth is attracted to Singapore. You talk of the UAE. I mean, our president went to the UK for medical treatment because there is a stable health infrastructural support in the UK. And I understand that, I mean, for the purpose of illustration, that if there is 5% life left in a human being and you can fly him to Germany, that you are likely to, you know, save that life. So we should be focusing on things like this. How can we flush out the bandits? The things that are making people to agitate. How can we deal with them instead of dealing with the symptoms?
Okay. Now, there's always there's the talk often that the ban on Twitter is an interference on, you know, freedom of expression. Now, that is on one hand. Twitter as a company is a money-making, is a company listed in the stock where people own it. They run their, in fact, it's a money-making venture. It's a company. How do we balance a company that is there to make profit on one hand and then being a vehicle for expression, where we are looking at, okay, where do we draw the line between a company doing business and the issue of the fundamental rights of expression?
As far as I'm concerned, I've not seen any breach of fundamental rights or any instigation from a Twitter. Okay. Twitter is just like the Ambassador Logun said. Twitter was not the one tweeting. They were not the one asking people to tweet as in the kind of tweet they are tweeting. And if they realize anyone that's not in line with their rules, there's a complaint, they take action against it. Twitter is not the one that says, look, there should be injustice in this country. Twitter is not the one behind the inequality and the clamor for restructuring or whatever they were doing in this country. So as far as I'm concerned, you see, Twitter, I see the action by the government as a vendetta, as just to a kind of because the allegation against Twitter that they are allowing what's it called? Is it news or whatever to be
fake news,
the same thing is happening on Facebook. WhatsApp is doing so people are doing the same thing on WhatsApp. Did you see them clamoring on the WhatsApp or because the thank God, probably maybe the action of Twitter by deleting the president's tweets has woken their eyes to see that, look, there's need for us to make money from here, probably. But you see, I'm not opposed regulation. I'm not opposed government trying to make money or collect tax from these people. But the time they realize that, or the time they took those steps, is a cause for concern.
All right. So the timing for you because
that has been on for years. Okay. There was no clamor. There was no request for any regulation. There was nothing until when the president's tweet was deleted by them. So I think and setting up a 17 committee to discuss with just Twitter as using a sledgehammer to clear an act. You need just one lawyer and one minister, probably the Minister of Communication and the Attorney General, to discuss. How can you not be bringing 17 members together to come and discuss what are you discussing?
All right. Now, Jide, will this be the opportunity? Because there's always a talk about the issue of regulation. Now, from the reports we got yesterday, Canada is also trying to have sent a bill on how to regulate social media in their own country, if some of the reports we're getting is anything to go by. Countries are beginning to look at those. Is this the opportunity to do the needful in that regard?
Regulations are sacrosanct. depending on your environment. Okay. It may amaze you that even in Dubai, you have limited access to the use of even WhatsApp in terms of calls and things like that. So in securing your environment, you are free to make regulations. But should we not even be appreciating Twitter for tampering with the comment of our president, viewed to have the capacity of causing crisis? I mean, and that's why when you can either react or respond. When you respond, you bring the concept of responsibility. You process it. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in. But when you react sometimes, you just go in. Have we thrown away the comment of the president that may cause further disunity in the country? And that is based on the regulations of Twitter. And if perhaps I were to be in the public relations team of the president, we should have sat down to say, Your Excellency, sir, what led to this and this? How can we manage this? Just like when a governor threatened foreign observers towards 2019 election, that they will go back in body bags. No, that is not how to express your feelings. So you need to process it. There nothing says you cannot regulate, and that is what I'm saying. In fact, I want us to regulate to the point that we empower Nigerians to develop their IT capacities and provide alternatives. I mean, China, they regulate their environment. Other countries of the world, I mean, even the United States of America, you hear about American spec vehicles, because to America is the safety of the people in the vehicle that is important. So any vehicle that will be allowed into America must meet the safety specifications, and that's why they call it American specs. So we should also have a Nigerian specs, but in trying to do that, we should not make it appear like a vendetta, because at the end of the day now, we're going to set up a committee to sit down with them and things like that. No. So let's see governance as a serious business, and that is why we have the ministry, departments, and agencies to process even before a leader responds to issue. You have to process it.
Okay. What I even expect our government to do is to also look at our law and jig it, to meet the current situation. Most online businesses in this country are not regulated, are not in line with it. Look at e-hailing driving. Okay. The Uber and the Bolt.
Yeah. All of them are the OTTs we talk about. Over the top businesses.
The government is more concerned about Twitter.
No.
So these regulations should come. They talk about it.
That is why the minister. That is why the Minister of Information was saying that all OTTs will begin to become regulated. They have to seek.
They don't have to announce road. Let us amend the law
but it's okay.
to provide that policy guideline for those who want to do business in that line in this country. That's all.
We know that.
Everybody will fall in.
We know that there's a call to amend the laws establishing the NBC to give them powers to do that. All right. Thank you very much, Tunji Abdulhamid, for coming on the program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jide Logun, thank you very much for coming.
God bless. Thank you.